Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Chandler for contributing writer for WPTavern.com, and joining me from across the pond, in fact, 6 hours ahead of me on the other side of the world, is Marcel Bootsman. And if you don't know him, you should by now, because he walked more than 700 kilometers from Rotterdam to Berlin, the location of WordCamp EU. Marcel, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your very busy media schedule, because I know everybody wants to talk to you and find out what's going on, to join me on the show today.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, man. So let's start off with the beginning. First, let's talk about the motivation, the inspiration of why in the world would you come up with a crazy idea of walking this distance to go to WordCamp EU when you could just take a train, you could take a boat. I don't know. If there's any means of travel you could have taken besides your 2 feet.
Yeah, besides my 2 feet, yeah, it's still a bit. I'm still not clear what the trigger was to get this idea. I know I was on the couch with my wife watching television, nothing about hiking or climbing or whatever. But there it was, the idea. I said to my wife, maybe I'm going to walk to the next WordCamp Europe, not even knowing it was going to be in Berlin. And I had the idea, I put it on Twitter, and people were telling, you probably know where it's going to be, and it's going to be in Rotterdam or Utrecht or in Antwerp in Belgium. But no, I was part of the organization, and people thought I already knew, but I didn't. And then Berlin was announced, and I was like, okay, 700 kilometers, that's doable. As crazy as it sounds, I've pronounced this, of course, a few times because I've been interviewed a few times. And every time I say it, it sounds crazy, and it maybe is.
Well, I mean, what's your experience, your background, your physical fitness before you came up with this idea? I mean, were you already accustomed to walking these kinds of distances, or was this like uncharted territory for you?
Yes, it was uncharted territory. We have a dog, so I walk on average about 5 to 6 kilometers with him every day. So that's not very much. That's just on average. I'm a healthy guy. I do some sports. I play tennis. I ride a bicycle sometimes. I walk a lot. And
see, I just thought to my doctor, I got to start doing all that because, man, you look great, and I'm the opposite. My doctor just told me, hey, I want you to do everything that Marcel's describing right now.
So I'm also being used by doctors now?
Yes. As a role model. I don't mind. You're a good role model.
Wow, that's cool to hear. Well, my first tip would be get a dog.
I have a dog.
You have a dog already? Oh, God.
Well, the problem is here, we have a tick problem that's very bad, and the ticks are getting worse. So we can't, we're afraid to take the dog out for walks. And I have a 1-year-old dog, and he just likes to sniff and stop everywhere. But my doctor says she wants me to do increase my heart rate, do not stop, and keep your heart rate elevated for a period of time. And I can't do that when Smokey wants to sniff everything that's sticking out of the ground.
Yeah, that's what dogs do.
Yeah, I know.
I know. That's what our dog does too, and he's 8 years old, and he still does it. So that's not going to change in the near future for you, basically.
So we're talking about a sizable distance here. How do you plan this out if you've never done it before?
Yeah, but while I've never done it before, I also didn't have any experience on planning this. So it was all new for me. And I had some experience in planning WordCamps, but that's a bit different than planning a walk for 700 kilometers on your own and arranging places to sleep, getting sponsors on board to have some funds for a replacement, because I have my own company and I couldn't just say to my customers, hey, I'm going to be away for a month, so good luck and I'll see you after a month. That's not going to work. So I basically just took Google Maps and I said, okay, I want to go from my hometown to Berlin, to the Estrel hotel and conference center. And I basically chopped it up in 30-kilometer pieces, because I thought, okay, 30 kilometers a day is doable, is okay. It's not too much. Okay, it is 30 kilometers and you're going to walk 7-8 hours, but that's okay. And then I basically started pinpointing and asking people, okay, this is my route. Here are some villages and some towns and some cities. Do you know someone who lives there, or do you live there yourself? Can you help me getting a place to sleep? And that's when it all started rolling.
And I think that's one of the coolest parts of your journey is putting out the request for people for places to stay along your journey on the different points where you were resting up. How many of those people, those places that you stayed out, are members of the WordPress community that either you know or they know you, or how many of them were just happy to help?
I don't have a number. I should know that, but I can of course search that for you. But just a ballpark figure, I think of all the 26 places to sleep, there were about, I believe, 9 or 10 places that were from the WordPress community. There were 6 or 7 hotel nights, and that was mainly in the eastern part of Germany, because maybe the Twitter reach is not that good there, or just basically not a lot of people live there, so it's going to be harder to reach them. And the other were just people who saw my retweets, and even some people who listen to national radio here in Holland, and they invited me to help me and do my story on national radio, and I got 3 sleeping places from that radio show. So I was very
How cool is that?
Yeah. That was
That's
pretty surprising. They just have a radio show, and they help people with all kinds of stuff, and they just call you and they say, okay, everybody who's listening, this guy or this woman needs help, and we're going to give you 1 hour, and after an hour they give you a call back, and they're going to report people that can help you, and that's so cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, for folks who haven't seen, you actually did sort of a daily journal. Each day you wrote a blog post with some images of things you saw, and it was always great to hear that you made it to the next location, and
Yes.
you were greeted with open arms. You got to take a shower, you got to rest, you got great food, it seems like, along the way, and sometimes you got a tour around their urban areas. But you weren't without your struggles, and you ran into an issue where apparently one of your ankles was overweighted, or too much weight on one ankle.
Yeah, I think overweighted is. I think that's the right term for it. It was just swollen, and there was some fluids in there who don't belong there. So it was a little bit painful, and I was like, okay, it's a little pain that goes away, and I can manage the pain. But at a certain point, it was getting too much, and I could still manage it. But I was like, okay, if this pain is there and it's getting more and more, there's probably something going on, and I want to know what's going on there. Because I don't want to have permanent damage because of this crazy idea to walk to Berlin. So I was in Hanover. That was a bit before half of the route, and I visited a doctor, and it was a woman, and she felt my ankle, and she said, yeah, there's something going on there, but I don't know what. So I was like, okay. So I was redirected to another doctor, and I could be there the next morning. And they asked me the story. What was I doing? Was I carrying a lot of weight? Did I sprain my ankle, or did I make a misstep or something? Well, that wasn't the case. So that doctor came with the happy news that it was nothing. I should just take a rest for a full day, and that's what I did. And I took one stage by train, by doctor's recipe, and that totally solved the issue, and I was very happy with that.
And speaking of carrying weight, I believe you're carrying 11 kilograms in your backpack.
Yeah.
What sort of technology did you use on this trip?
The technology I mostly used was this. This is called a mobile phone. People might know this.
That could do a lot. That one piece of technology can replace a lot of other technologies.
Yeah, it does. I use one of these smartwatch, and it's not that I prepared this, but it's just on my desk. And the smartwatch I use to track my route on Strava, just to know afterwards where exactly I've walked and what my pace was. And my mobile phone, I use it for Google Maps to guide me the way, and to keep in contact with the rest of the people and the community and my family.
So on your journey, what would you say was the longest point in your journey, from when you woke up during the day to the evening when you reached your destination, where there was the longest span of time where there was no civilization, where if something happened, you were going to be, I guess you had cell signal service for your entire trip, right?
Not everywhere. I think about 3-4% of the entire trip I had absolutely zero signal. Zero.
Boy, that could have spelled disaster.
That could have been, but didn't happen. And
Yeah.
I also learned that I shouldn't think about disaster
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah, and by the way, in one of the recent episodes of WordPress Weekly, we were talking about you, and I had mentioned something about don't break a leg, or hope nothing bad happens, or you get rushed by a bull. And John got on me. He says, "How can you say that? Think positive." So just want to say, yeah. But so speaking of thinking, you're out there on the road, you're on your journey, you're walking from here to there. I imagine you have a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
What did you think about? What crossed your mind? Did you have any uh, crazy experiences? Did you tap into your subconscious or something?
No, I didn't have any crazy experiences. The thing that I noticed is that my thinking, it changed during the month that I was walking. And in the beginning, I was thinking about my work, thinking about my company, thinking about my family a lot. And after a week, my family met me, and it was very emotional. And after that week, I found a little, yeah, how do you call it? I found peace or something. Like I was in a Zen mode, like nothing was on my mind on big parts of the route. And while I was walking, I was just walking, looking around, looking at the scenery, checking out animals that I saw, being afraid of wolf prints that I saw in the sand. And that was just it. And sometimes I just got an idea about my job, about my work, and what I wanted to do differently. And I wrote that down in my phone, and it was basically very calm and relaxed, and I didn't have any worries. And even at the moments that Google Maps directed me into places where I shouldn't have been directed, like military practice areas and those kind of things.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, okay, I'm here now. There's nothing I can do about it. I need to find plan B, and plan B was get to a civilized area and ask people how to get further. And I was talking to somebody, and in my back, a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I hear you talking about this, and I can bring you to another city across this area, and you can walk on from there." And like everything just fell into place. And even when I had these pains on my ankle and I had to stop, I had to hitch a ride, and I believe the third car was stopping for me, and I could join him. And I sometimes see people standing alongside the road with their thumb up and like
we all drive past them and go, "Boy, who's that crazy person?"
Exactly. And I was there, and I put my thumb up, and the third car is helping me. I was like, okay, universe is helping me here.
Yeah. So, talk a little bit about your experience of walking down a hill. You're experiencing a close by thunderstorm. Luckily, you didn't get struck by lightning, but that must have been a sight.
Yeah, that was pretty close. Yeah, you've seen the picture probably from the
Yes.
from the hill. That you see the rain shower, and it was sunny. It was a bit cloudy, and there was.
I mean, I've never been on that side of the world, but it looks not that much different from here. You get the rolling acres, greens, plains, hills. I mean, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it was a hillish scenery, and it was about 150 meters high, that hill, so it wasn't that high. But it was a sunny day. There were a few clouds, and there were thunderstorms predicted. But according to my mobile phone and weather app, they should have passed me, behind me, but they didn't, as they do. So I just put on my raincoat for my backpack, and just kept on walking. And there were a lot of trees around me. I wasn't there in the plains, so I wasn't the easy target for lightning or something. And I could see that the rain shower, the cloud, which launched all the lightning strikes, it was like 2-3 kilometers away, so that was safe. And I wasn't feeling in danger.
Yeah. On your trip, did you experience any feelings of doubt or self-doubt? At any point in the journey, did you feel like, or mentally just say, "Hey, I don't think I really want to do this, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this day, or I don't think I'm going to be able to make it on this journey"? And did you persevere? And how did you persevere?
Yeah, that's a good question. I get the question a lot also. Did you doubt on the target, if you were going to make it? And it's not to be very brave about it, but I didn't have the feeling I wasn't gonna make it. I have this goal. It's just walking. So it's not running or something, or doing something that requires a lot of stamina, or it's just walking. And at the moment, I had this problem with my ankle. I had some doubts, and I was like, okay, if there's really something going on right down there, and there's something wrong, I can't walk anymore. I just have to find another way of transport, and well, the challenge would be a lot less then, of course. But luckily that didn't happen, and I really didn't have any doubts. The only doubts I had was on long stages, so like 35
Mm.
kilometers plus. I sometimes had the feeling, okay, I want to be at the finish line for today, because I was just done walking. I was okay, looking at my watch and looking at Google Maps, and there's 2.5 hours left to go. And I was like, okay, nearly there, but it's still 2.5 hours of walking. And sometimes that was the hardest part. It's not just the physical part, but just the time part. And yeah, walking is slow. We know that.
I mean, encompassing the entire journey, obviously it's a big deal. That's a long distance, but one of the things you learn, and I think it's one of the things that you got to take. I mean, this could be applied to WordPress projects. It could be applied to other aspects of your life, but it's about focusing on small achievements, having small goals, and getting to point A to point B, but having all these little intermediate steps in between and take it one step at a time.
Yeah, that's what I did. I broke the stages into pieces, and basically Google Maps was the natural way of doing that, because well, the next step is okay, 1 kilometer ahead, and then you go left, and that's then a mini stage within the stage, and that's how you take the steps. And then it was pretty. There was this canal somewhere in the middle of Germany, and that canal was like straight, and I had walked up on a hill, and then Google Maps said, turn left here. So I took a left turn alongside the canal. And then Google Maps said, okay, go straight ahead 13 kilometers. And I was like, okay, this is going to be boring because there was nobody there. Sometimes a boat just passed me, or just gone the other way. But it was just me, canal, some bridges, and that was it. And that was not terrifying. But yes, you think about, okay, if something happens here, you're in the middle of nothing. And
You have to fly down one of those boats.
yeah, just to jump or wave to a boat, and of course they if they break, it takes about 2 kilometers to be really stand still. So that's when sometimes I thought about, okay, just be careful, just walk, and just be careful, and make sure you get there in one piece.
So one of the charities you raised funds for is Donate WC, sort of a new nonprofit that's been set up to help people who may not have the financial or other means necessary to attend a WordCamp event. Tell me a little bit about why you chose this charity, and how much did you end up raising?
Yeah, I started the idea to just walk to Berlin and have a sort of personal challenge of doing it. And then I posted the idea on Twitter, and I got some attention from people. And I thought, okay, maybe I can use this attention to do something bigger, to help the community, the WordPress community, because hey, I was walking to WordCamp, so let's see if we can help the WordPress community. And then I immediately thought of the Donate WC Foundation, which was founded by Ines van Essen, and I know her already for a few years. And that was the first thing that came into mind. I didn't really think about it; it just popped into my mind, like the same way the idea of walking 700 kilometers popped into my mind. And then I thought, okay, this is going to be a good cause to do this, because I have the opportunity to walk to a WordCamp Europe. I can make time for it. I have the financial room to do this, and along with my sponsors, I was able to keep my company running and just walk myself. And I thought, okay, I'm going to raise money for that. So I opened up a donation page, and basically people started donating. And before I even started, I had 1700 euros already. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to start walking, maybe people are going to donate more, or maybe this is it. Maybe I've reached all the people that want to donate and they've already donated. So I wasn't aware of any extra things that were going to happen, donation technical wise. But then I was on my trip, and I saw donations coming in every day. And I have this modern bank that I use. They have this app, and that it's a real-time bank. So if anything happens on your account, you can get a notification. And before I left home, I enabled a lot of notifications on my phone because I just wanted to be. I was on my own all day, so I wasn't going to bother anyone but myself. And my phone was, well, not constantly, but was giving me a lot of notifications on my account for the Walk to WordCamp Europe. And that gave me a lot of energy. And as soon as I arrived in Berlin, people started donating even more. And when I was on stage for giving my talk, people were even donating. I could feel my phone vibrating in my pocket. And afterwards, I looked, and it was all donation notifications, and that was pretty cool. And in the end, it was a very emotional talk, and especially when I could announce the final number of donations, which was 8,500 euros.
That's a sizable amount.
And that's a cool amount, yeah. With Donate WC, they announced that they were looking for a 10,000 euro goal for this year, and to be able to send some people to WordCamps, and not just to attend a WordCamp, but to contribute. So if you want to give a talk or want to help the organization or want to be a volunteer and you don't have the money to do it, you can apply at donatewc.org. And just, well, tell your story, and maybe you can be helped and can go to a WordCamp.
Well, for the 10,000 euro goal, you got them almost there.
I got them almost there, and I saw some tweets, I believe yesterday or the day before.
No, you know what you should have done? Walk from Berlin back home, and you could have got them past the goal.
That's a bad idea, Jeff.
Oh, that's a bad idea, but walking there is a good idea. Okay, I understand. So tell me what it was like emotionally and mentally when you get to a point where you can see the venue in the distance, you know you're close, and then your family sees you and runs up to you, your son runs up to you, and your friends and family are joining you for the last leg of the journey. What was that like for you?
It's undescribable. It's I already had an emotional thing after a week when my wife and kids were in Bad Bentheim. That was the first stop in Germany. And I believe I was less emotional when I arrived in Berlin, just because I got used to the idea, I think, that they were not there. And I was used to the idea of seeing them. And as I was walking, I was accompanied by Casper Hubinger. I stayed at his place in Potsdam, and we had to walk like 30 kilometers to get to the venue. And Casper was having difficulties keeping up with me the last few kilometers because my pace was increasing because I could like smell the end. I could smell the finish. And I was like, okay, I'm going to increase my pace here, and I'm going to get to my family. And as soon as I was there, of course, there were some tears, and I saw my son running up the bridge, and we hugged, and it was, I still get goosebumps right now if I talk about it. And my family was there. My parents, my parents-in-law, the in-laws were there. A niece was there. It was just wow. It was great.
And how refreshing was that celebratory beer that they gave?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I got the beer, I believe, from Thomas Brühl, one of the German WordPress community people, and there was. After I met my family, they said, okay, there are some other people waiting for you there. And there was, not a small group. There was even a big group of people, organizers for WordCamp Europe, and some attendees and speakers, and just people who wanted to meet me and say hi to me after walking 718 kilometers. And that beer was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually did a lightning talk at WordCamp Berlin. Or WordCamp EU, which was in Berlin.
Yes.
And it was held on Saturday. I think it was a lightning talk. And you had mentioned that you were pretty emotional up on stage a couple of different times based on the reactions of the crowd. And in fact, you were awarded your own WAPU.
Yeah, I was awarded my WAPU, and I've got him here.
Yeah, put that up to the camera.
I got this WAPU, and it's me. At least that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be me. And it's a little WAPU, and he's got a backpack, he's got a drinking bottle, he's got a walking stick, and that actually is correct because I had some stages where I was walking in a forest and saw these wolf tracks in the sand, and I was like, okay, wolves are primarily afraid of people, but you never know. So I just picked up a big stick and I walked with it. So it's pretty correct, the Wapu. Yeah, and I was pretty excited about it, and still am, because I believe I'm the second person in WordPress history that has his own personal Wapu. I believe Carol Olinger has also one with the purple hat. And yeah, it's pretty amazing that people take the time and the effort to do such a thing, to also thank me.
So this was quite the accomplishment for you, and it was cool for people on Twitter, for people to see your. I'm very appreciative of your daily journals, to be able to see with your photos and just get a word from you about what you experienced that day. It was kind of our little way of it was kind of like your way of bringing us along with you
Yeah.
on your journey in little bits and pieces. And if we didn't see a blog post one day, we started thinking, what happened to Marcel, and you're updating people on your Twitter account. But congratulations to you for pulling this off, for reaching your goal. It's one hell of a milestone. And also thank you for your contributions of what you've done for Donate WC. That is really incredible what you've done for them in that organization, and I imagine that's going to transpire into them helping so many other people be able to experience WordCamps that a lot of us have the means to take advantage of, maybe take for granted in some cases. So going forward, before we wrap it up here, how do you think this whole experience, or has it in any way, shape, or form changed the way you go about your everyday life, how you approach things, how you think about things? And do you think that you'll ever go on one of these long walking journeys ever again?
No, that's a definite. Well,
For the people listening, he's shaking his head violently. No.
I don't know if it's a definitive no. But if I was going to propose this idea again to my wife, I think I'm going to be slapped in the face pretty hard. Because it's been amazing, and I also did this during my talk, and my wife has been so supportive in this, and giving me the opportunity to go, and she was taking care of our 2 kids and our dog, and I know that's a lot of work, and I was just walking, which is a lot of work too, but 2 kids, a dog, and well, everything around the house, that's a lot of work too. So I want to thank my wife also here. I want to thank my wife again for this. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about the way that I inspired people. I see a lot of initiatives, and I don't know if they're serious yet, or about people that are want a bicycle ride to Porto, the next edition of WordCamp Europe, and raise money in that way. And I'm pretty happy with the idea that people are starting to think about that, and to also do something to raise money for, if it's going to be Donate WC or any other good cause. I think that's a great idea. And if my walk to WordCamp Europe inspired a few people to do this, then a lot of people are going to be happy with that. And making other people happy, that's basically my motto in life. That's what I do best. I like to do that. And that's also why I joined the organizing team for WordCamp Netherlands, for WordCamp Rotterdam, for WordCamp Europe, the first edition, and just make people happy. And that's what counts most.
Well, Marcel, I'm glad to see you safe and sound. You've got a beautiful tan, by the way. I'm glad to see you made it. I'm glad that you're an inspiration to many others out there. I'm glad that you've raised so many funds for Donate WC, a great cause. And for people interested, they can actually find your talk, and I believe it's available on YouTube, on the WordCamp Europe stream. It's available there. You can also find it on walk2wc.eu. That's a website where Marcel has published a post about wrapping up his trip, and there's tweets and there's video links in there. And you can go back and read his travels through the lens of his camera and his words, and it's a great journey. Marcel, before we let you go, any final words to the WordPress community, and how could people reach out to you or keep in touch with your travels?
Yeah, people can keep in touch with me. The easiest thing is through Twitter. My Twitter name is mbootsman, or Bootsman in English. And other travel ideas, they're probably not going to happen in the scale of the walk to Berlin. I might do some holiday pictures and holiday stories. The blogging part, I'm very happy to hear that a lot of people followed me on my blogs and were very had like a ritual also, that each morning they would wake up, have their breakfast, and just read my blog of the day before, and that's so cool to see. And if people have any questions, they can just contact me, and you can find me on Slack, on the WordPress Slack. You can email me on my business. It's called nostromo.nl. Lots of ways to contact me, so pretty happy to answer every question there is.
And Marcel, we got to do what we can to maintain the domain and the hosting for this site, because if it disappears, that's a piece of vital WordPress history gone. So we got to find a way to keep it there. In fact, I should go to the Wayback Machine and have an archive of all the pages that can, just
That's what I'm going to
just
do.
for a backup.
I have some plans for it, that I wanna make it a static site, because there is this movement in WordPress land also, and in other stages, that static sites are going to be, well, I don't know if it's going to be the next thing, but for this thing,
there's a lot of hype around static sites.
There's a hype around it, and I want to play around and see if I can make walk2wc.eu a static site, and then lower the hosting requirements, and then just host it somewhere. Yes, because it's gonna stay online as long as I can keep it online.
Excellent. Well, Marcel, thanks a lot for joining me today. I know it's evening time there, afternoon for me here, but great job on your journey, and all the best to you in your WordPress endeavors.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. It's been great having being on your show, and if people want to ask other questions, I'm pretty welcome to answer them. So thank you very much.